Well, the fallout from Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan has gone well beyond the economic sanctions that Beijing announced yesterday. Today, China has carried out its promise to hold live fire drills around the self-governed island, raising tensions not only in North Asia, but also between Beijing and Washington. Now, these pictures being shared widely on Chinese social media give you some idea of the intensity of the bombardment. They show several missiles being fired by the People's Liberation Army towards the Taiwanese coast. Now, they've reportedly been launched from Pingtan County in the eastern Chinese province of Fujian. Now, that is just 150 kilometres away from mainland Taiwan. The Defence Ministry in Taipei claims they were Dongfeng ballistic missiles capable of carrying multiple warheads. Let's get more with Foreign Affairs and Military Correspondent at TVBS News, Taiwan, Ting Liu. Good to have you with us. How does this firing of missiles very close to Taiwan up the ante from what has happened in recent years and months?
Good evening. Thank you for having me on your program. So we are actually seeing very strong military action from the PLA Army. For example, the Taiwanese Defense Ministry has confirmed that the PLA has fired 11 DF ballistic missiles around Taiwan towards the Taiwan eastern, southern, and northern waters. And we are seeing that the Taiwanese ministry issues a very strong condemnation. And the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Taiwan has also said very strong words, not only strongly condemning the action by the Chinese government, but they actually said that the Chinese government is following the example of North Korea in willfully test-firing missiles into waters near other countries and demand that the Chinese exercise self-restraint. And on top of these ballistic missiles, we are seeing that the Chinese PLA Army is also firing long-range rockets near the outer islands of Taiwan. And they have actually put the 6 military zones. They have drawn out the 6 zones around Taiwan. But today, not only in these 6 zones, the Chinese has actually added a 7th zone in eastern waters in Taiwan. So that means to say, technically, to the Taiwanese Defense Ministry, we have actually condemned that it is subjected to, basically it's like a blockade around Taiwan. And we are seeing that, let's say, the aviation and the ship vessels have been rerouted on other routes, and the government in Taiwan is definitely watching very closely.
Yeah, because that almost blockade will severely disrupt global supply chains. And at this point, they say they will continue this until at least Monday.
Yes, indeed, because initially the military exercise was supposed to end on Sunday, but it was just announced that it will last through till Monday. So, currently it's in a situation like we do not know if there's any possibility that it might extend. It may very well just maybe by Monday everything could just end and everyone could just go home, or it could technically continue onwards. It is not up to the Taiwanese to decide. It is currently the PLA Army are doing this exercise extensively. And from what I know, tonight, the Taiwanese on our side, the fighter jets has been madly scrambling into the skies. And we are not only talking about military tension in this region. The PRC government has also enacted very strong economic sanctions against Taiwan, including banning a lot of food imports. And not only that, there's also cyber warfare. Taiwanese government websites have been repeatedly down over the past 2 days. So we have been seeing increased number of DDoS attacks. And the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Taiwan has actually pointed to agents from the PRC and Russia in this case.
That is interesting. How sophisticated have those cyber attacks actually been?
I have actually been speaking to experts, and the interesting thing is that the cybersecurity experts in Taiwan do not think that it's necessary a government orchestrated kind of attack. They are actually think that it might be a civilian launch kind of attack. Basically, they are unable to identify who might be the mastermind behind these attacks. But because we know that DDoS attacks are actually quite fundamental, pretty basic in terms of the attack form. But really, who is the one behind all this? This obviously raises concern. But one thing is very important to note is that despite all this military action, all this kind of things happening around Taiwan. The people in Taiwan today, even though they are watching the development with a lot of caution, but I would not say that the general atmosphere here is fearful. People still go around with their daily lives. People go to work, go to school, run their daily errands as per normal. But no doubt, people here are trying to understand what's happening, but not feeling excessively too worried about it. But one thing is that I think the Taiwanese government is trying to hope that people in Taiwan will continue to be very resilient, continue to be very united in this time of adversity.
Yeah. I noticed that China's foreign minister has cancelled his meeting with his Japanese counterpart. They are both at ASEAN. Japan saying that some of these missiles have actually landed in Japan's economic zone. So it's really increasing tension right across that region.
Indeed, earlier the Japanese Defense Ministry has actually just confirmed that 9 of these ballistic missiles have actually landed in the Japanese economic exclusive zone. So technically, if you look at the map, that should be the northern and the eastern waters around Taiwan. So actually, I think the global, many countries and many governments around the world are obviously watching this development very, very closely. And also, we are actually seeing that the Taiwanese Foreign Ministry and in the various ministry, trying to reach out to the global attention, hoping that the world could actually focus and put their attention on the Taiwan issue that is happening at this moment right now.
Yeah, and that certainly has done that, and Taiwan is getting a lot of international support. How do people feel about how the government's managing this?
I think one thing to note is that all of this threatening that's happening across the strait, the reason why I talk about why the general public in Taiwan, they watch it with caution, but not with excessive fear, is because, we have actually been seeing the PLA jet incursions into the Taiwanese air defense identification zone, especially over the past few years. And the PLA Army has actually been conducting their military exercises, around Taiwan, or they have actually sent vessels to closely monitor and surveil, Taiwan's waters around the eastern side. So, we are actually seeing this increased military action, increased military tension. So, I'm not sure whether it's fair to say that the people in Taiwan are desensitized in a sense, but they are not excessively fearful because this kind of threatenings, it did happen over the past few decades. It is just in this point of time, more people around the world are perhaps putting their attention, in this region in Taiwan. But we know that, compared to, let's say, 25, 26 years ago, during the 1995-1996 cross-strait crisis, similar actions has been taken by the PRC government. No doubt, on the level and scale that we are seeing today seems to be more than what we've seen, let's say, 2.5 decades ago. And how it is going to be happen, all these developments is still under everyone's concern. Everyone's still watching closely what's going to happen. But like I mentioned earlier, the Taiwanese government will hope that people in Taiwan will continue to stay very resilient to all this.